Happy Saturday, YouTube. Hope you guys are enjoying it. I've been talking about costs lately. What it costs to hire an agent. But as an agency owner, how much money does an agent truly need for leads every month? You thought about that for a little bit? Let's say, for example, in this case, you are providing free leads to a group of agents. How many leads does each one of these agents require? We're going to dive into that here today. With us doing final expense inbounds, we get a lot of people hitting us up, interested, looking to buy inbounds for their agency. So we get a lot of people calling in for that. And through that process, I'm able to hear a lot of the problems that most of these guys face. One, most agency guys looking for inbounds don't have no technology or an established CRM, making it hard for companies like us to deliver leads. Two, they don't have a systematic way of selling the product. Very few agency owners have a script, have a training that everybody goes through. And because of that reason, the results are all over the place. So it becomes a major loss for the agency owner that doesn't have things in order. And I'm going to give you guys an example of what I mean by that. So I had an agency owner this week reach out to me, and he's providing free leads to his agents. They are on lower comp levels, but he provides free leads. So let's say they're at 30% to 50% in terms of their compensation with the carrier, and he steps in and provides free leads. He shared his report with me, and I'm going to share it with you guys, and just let this sink in for a little bit. So roughly, I'm looking at 15 people here that took approximately, listen to this, $36,000, 211 in leads, roughly, let's say $25 to $30 for each one of these inbounds. So in this case, this agency owner has this agents, he has a system to take the calls, and for this report, he spent $36,000 in leads. And how many agents? Roughly 15. I didn't count them exactly, but 15 based on this report that I have here in my hands. Now, I'm going to give you the top 5 agents out of these 15 and how much they spent leads, and then we'll go from there. So the top agent for this period, which was basically 2 weeks, wrote 23 people, so 23 insurance policies. They spent in total lead costs for this particular person $3,309. So his cost per acquisition was $143.87. So for every $143.87 that this agency owner spent on the number one guy, he would see one application. In this case, the top person wrote 23 applications in roughly 2 weeks. The number 2 agent wrote 19 applications, and they spent $4,416 in leads for that number 2. So the cost per acquisition for number 2 agent was $232.43. So before they saw a sale for number 2 agent, they were investing $232.43. Now we'll go to number 3 agent. The number 3rd agent wrote 15 applications. In this case, they spent $2,987.50 in leads. And the cost per acquisition for the number 3rd agent was $199.17. You guys are seeing here how every single agent has a different performance number, cost per acquisition. We'll go to the number 4 agent. They wrote 8 applications, and the agency owner spent $6,622.31, because those were the amount of leads that that agent took. And their cost per acquisition, again, how much money is spent before we see a sale, that cost is $827.79. This is just lead cost, not to factor in anything else. But here's what's crazy. The number 5th person did 6 applications, $2,627.35, and a cost per acquisition of $437.89. Now, guys, the number 1 agent that wrote 23 applications in this time frame, his cost per acquisition was $143.87. That's the amount of money that was spent in leads before they saw one sale. The next agent's cost was $232.43. The 3rd agent was $199.17. The number 4 agent was $827.79. And the 5th top agent in this time frame was $437.89. This is the amount of money that was spent in order to acquire these applications. So the question always comes up is, when agency owners are looking for leads, they're looking for good quality, because obviously if they better their quality, their staff's going to make more sales overall. But sometimes, like in this case, this agency's working great leads. They're working inbounds, whether it's final expense or Medicare, and everyone's having different results. And this is a really good thing to look at, because a lot of you guys that are independent, maybe on the lower comps, and you're taking free leads, and you're thinking it's free. It's not, because someone's paying for those leads. So how important is the lead quality? Well, it's important. But I can tell you of many occasions, much like what you see here, where you see agents that have a good skill set at selling and closing, well, their closing ratios are going to be higher, making their cost per acquisition lower. So you don't have to spend a bunch of money on leads in order to get the same amount of sales that other people are spending a bunch of money. Think of the agent that took $6,600 worth of leads, and for every $827 that they spend on this agent, they see one sale. So from $827 to the agent that's $143, there's a massive difference. What's the difference? Training. What I've discovered over the time is that a lot of agency owners, they hire and they really don't focus in on the training that the agent receives. Selling and closing. And because of that reason, when the agent gets on the phone, especially to start selling, they freelance it, they wing it, and every single time they take on a call is a different version of a script, because they're freelancing it. That hurts you. The agents that have the most success are the ones that have a system in place, are the ones that follow a script every single time. They are the ones that are having more success than the ones that are just winging it. And it's proven. The agency owners that don't have a system in place, then they're relying on each and every one of these agents and their abilities. And in most cases, they don't have the skills in place to handle your typical objections. Because, for example, in this case, these numbers I shared with you, these are agents trained, working the same leads, but each and every single one of these agents is doing something different, meaning that the training they received really wasn't 100% held to standard. So everyone's doing something different. I sell leads to different outfits, different groups, people that don't need training, people that look for our training. So I'm able to see the results for agents that come and buy. But I'll tell you what, the agents that don't have good results that first time, they don't buy again. The agency owners that don't have a good result the first time, they don't buy again. And it always goes back to the training. You can work the greatest leads, you can work the best quality, but if the agent doesn't know how to sell, doesn't know how to close, it's going to be a hit and miss. Because remember, with inbound leads, these people are dead serious. They've seen the ad in real time and they're calling right then and there. A small percentage of them are ready to buy, but the majority of people are calling in for more information as well as a quote. And what happens? Most of you guys out there, immediately you dive into quotes, you talk about how you're a broker, and you get people making a decision within a couple minutes. You have them making a decision about buying some insurance. And it's impossible to find a need, present a solution, build rapport, all within less than 5 minutes, what most of you are doing. If you don't believe me, time yourself. If you're currently buying inbound leads and you're not converting a lot of them, chances are you're doing these presentations that are less than 5 minutes long, and it's all based on rates. Zero value. That definitely hurts your conversion ratios. If you're running an agency and you have 5, 10 people, just because they're able to pay for their leads doesn't mean they're going to have success. And what I mean by that, you get them on the telephone, and again, within a couple minutes, they're pitching rates, and within 5 minutes, they're dealing with a boatload of objections, and they're wondering why. And it's not the lead, it's the fact that the agent isn't properly trained on selling. And obviously, they do not know how to close. And yes, those are two concepts in sales. How do you sell? It's obvious they're calling in wanting a quote, but you giving them a quote is not selling. Providing them information, presenting to them a problem. What's the problem? Not having money to cover your funeral. And finally, doing an underwriting process and presenting them a solution through a policy that they may qualify for. But unfortunately, a lot of you don't get this, and you're not going to. Unfortunately, you're thinking just because someone calls in, they're going to buy. Well, if that was the case, as I'm reading off these cost per acquisitions, again, if that was the case, if it was just the case of slamming leads against people, then this agency owner here put out $36,000, and in return, that's 90 applications. 90 applications. That's right about what? 60,000 in AP? Spent $36,000 in leads. As you can see, it's a cost. But then if you're an agent and you're bringing the money to the table, or you're sharing the cost with your upline, if it's costing you $143.87, which is costing the number one agent in this group before he sees a sale, well, man, that's a profitable business. But I promise you this, here's some of the other costs per acquisition, $1,026.83. That means that for every $1,000.26.83 that he spends before he sees one app, that's not very profitable if you ask me. $831.25 before this agent sees one sale, that's not very profitable if you ask me. And the highest one in here is $2,243.90. This agent was number 14 in terms of production. That is not profitable because your average policy is $650 if it's final expense. So these are agents, once again, working for the same agency, buying the same leads, writing insurance, but each and every one of them has a different cost per acquisition. So if you're watching this, ask yourself, what's your current cost per acquisition? If you're a final expense agent, is it under $200? Is it over $200? Is it $500? It's a good question to ask. And once you really know what that is, you're going to find out how it correlates with your closing ratios. And it's not necessarily a lead quality issue. It's a you issue. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if it was easy, everybody would do it. And the moment in time you start to realize that, and you start working on your skills, and you start blaming yourself instead of the lead or your manager, you're going to have breakthroughs. If currently you're on the phones and you don't have a script, you don't have a strategy on how to close, and you don't have that in place now, much more, you don't have a CRM to work your leads, give me a call. Currently with Advanced Grow, what we do is that if you buy an order of 25 leads in the states that we're distributing these leads, we'll provide you with a free CRM so you can work your leads. Plus, we provide training, coaching, no cost to you. This is what we do. This is what works for us. And we can invite you to see firsthand what it looks like, sounds like, and how you process applications. And more importantly, we'll show you exactly in firsthand account how important training is. Because the lead quality that we offer, which is final expense inbounds, it's the best. And I can tell agents, if you can't close customer initiated final expense inbounds, you're not going to close the rest of the leads that are out there in the market. I'm so sorry. Because you can't get through a full presentation and you can't get through a close. And in most cases, most of these people, they're not calling in to say, I'm ready to buy. A very, very small percentage do, but most don't. And if you don't know how to make a proper sale, and more importantly, you don't know how to close, you're going to be like some of these people on this list that I shared with you, where their closing ratios are so low, the cost per acquisition is pretty much, pretty close to not being in business. Because the reality is, if it costs you more money to acquire one application, regardless if it's Medicare or final expense, if it costs you more money than you make, you don't got to be a math genius to understand you're not going to be in the business long enough. So what do? Buying more leads ain't the solution. It's bettering your skill set. So give me a call, make an order. If you're struggling on the phone, call me. I'll be more than happy to help you, even working on your own leads. So with that said, you guys have a wonderful Saturday. See you guys at top. Peace.